Hi boys and girls, it's Show back with another video. Roll on the weekend. Cheers everybody. Yeah, so today we're going to look at obviously Man United versus Liverpool on Sunday. Do a combined 11 for a laugh, even though we know that's going to be very much one-sided. And then also just have a look at maybe how both teams are going to approach the game, where the game might be won or lost. To begin with, we're going to crack on with the combined 11 here. So this one, we're just going to pick a random formation here. We're just going to go 3-4-3. And then, yeah, let's just crack on with who we think should go into this. So over the last few years, you'd say, Alisson's been the better goalkeeper. I very much think what I like about Alisson is that he has decent distribution. Like I say, he has moments where I think he takes too many risks out of it with his distribution. It kind of reminds me a bit like when Arteta first took over at Arsenal with Bernd Leno playing out of the back, and the way they got picked off quite a lot. There are moments where I feel like Alisson is on the cusp of doing something bizarre like that. But in terms of his general keeping, obviously he's outstanding. He's so quick off his line, a bit like Hugo Lloris. Just really good at covering his back four. Obviously what a player. David De Gea back to his best now, back to his to good form. A bit more proactive now off his line as well. I'd say certainly that's where an improvement has been made this season. And then also his distribution has been pretty good this year. He's playing with confidence, and that's obviously the key thing. When you're playing with confidence, you're making quicker decisions that you believe in. You're not second guessing yourself at any stage. And we all knew David De Gea was an incredible shot stopper. For me, that wasn't the question, because obviously when he was in poor form, he still pulled off the odd brilliant save, and it was more that he was actually saving the spectacular but not saving the simple. And so I think he's ironed out those mistakes at the moment. His concentration seems to be a lot higher. You see the way he sort of like in the Atalanta game, the way he was like rushing to get the ball back to obviously get us on the attack again while United were down in the game. And I just very much think there's a sort of the eye of the tiger. There's an intensity to David De Gea which there wasn't in previous seasons. So with this one, it's a difficult one, because obviously if you're going to go on form, you're going to go on obviously who's been the outstanding keeper over the last few seasons. I won't pander to United fans here. I think we've got to go with the keeper that's been good over the last few years, even though I think, in my opinion, over their careers, David De Gea will go down as the better goalkeeper. See if that's a controversial take. I'm going to go with Alisson here. Right, moving on to the defence. This one, obviously, I think we can use a bit of form in here. I think whether you Van Dijk and Joel Matip, for example, who's been the better of the two this season, I would say it was Joel Matip. He's probably been the more consistent performer, but that's not surprising really when you consider that Van Dijk's coming off a really, really bad knee injury, sort of feeling his way back into this season, and he may just have a kind of an average season, but an average season from Van Dijk is better than a good season from a Nat Phillips, or something like that. So it is really something to think about. Going into the defence, got to be a bit of a bizarre one, I think, in terms of how we makeshift this one. We're gonna go with Joel Matip. We'll give him his flowers here because of how well he's done, if I can bloody find him. There he is. And, obviously, in terms of injuries and things like that, Maguire's obviously been out with that calf injury. He's come back now. And now, since the international break, Rafael Varane is also injured with that groin injury. So difficult one whether you include Liverpool players out of position here in this kind of random combined 11, or whether you actually put a United player in. But we're going to go slightly positional here. So I think out of the two centre backs for Manchester United, I think Varane has slightly shaded it. Not out of statistically, because I've seen Maguire's statistics and he's still back to just dominating aerially. Most clearances, he racks up those stats if you go and check it out. But just in terms of the sort of pace to sort of cover mistakes. And then Maguire made a high-profile mistake against Leicester City. He also dived in a on Newcastle counter-attack, which sort of opened up the space for that goal as well. So he's had moments of calamity, whereas Rafa Varane really hasn't, bar that own goal, which wasn't really his fault against West Ham. So for me, I'm actually gonna stick with Varane in this one. And then on the left, we'll just put in Virgil van Dijk. Right, onto the midfield. Midfield's a bit boring, isn't it, for United's perspective? I'm not certainly going to be avoiding anyone through the middle for Man United. If we do this like slightly by formation, so just a moment on this. Oh, can we get like a ton of attackers in here? Probably not. Yeah, this is bizarre, isn't it? I think the formation is a bit stupid, isn't it? Because we can't get any fullbacks in at the moment with the way it's set up. So we're going to go a bit stranger here, I think, just because we need to get some attackers in, but we need to get some fullbacks in. So yeah, this makes more sense. So we're going to go like that for the defence to get Trent in. And then midfield, we need to get Fabinho in. He's the outstanding defensive midfielder from both teams. He's just been... What I love about Fabinho is that he's obviously positionally great. He's not unbelievable in possession. Like, he's not like a Rodri or anything like that. That's not his role. He's like a sort of... It's a bit like if you get like a standard 100-metre sprinter and they're quick, right? And that's Fred. So they're obviously good. They're let's say they're a 100-metre sprinter for their sort of national, their country. And then you got Fabinho, and he's elite. He's like your Usain Bolt, being 6'5", tall, can cover ground more, and just makes it look incredibly easy because of his physical gifts as well as his brain. So that's the way I see Fabinho. So it's like Fred, is just he has like less physical tools, which is true, but also slightly less intelligence in terms of the way he plays the position as well. So it's just like a serious upgrade. So yeah, Fabinho, in he goes. Now for the rest of this, I mean, based on the way Pogba's played early on with some of the assists, I think it'd be unfair not to include him in this team. And also I think he would, like I said, with a manager that might structure the team, around Pogba a bit more, and not use him in any kind of double pivot. Maybe use him out on the left more, and accept that another player needs to go out on the bench, to get the best out of Paul Pogba. Then you might see more consistent performances across the season. But yeah, I still think he's been good enough this year to be included on this list, so I'm going to put him in there. The interesting thing about Liverpool is that they don't really have those kind of names in midfield where you'd think, oh wow, this guy's been incredible. A lot of them are workmanlike, and like I always say in their formation, the midfield, in terms of the amount of work they get through covering the fullbacks, and also arguably in terms of Salah and Mane's maybe lack of intensity to defend. They don't get enough credit really. Henderson obviously got credit when they won the league or the Champions League. That's those seasons, because that the kind of shifts that he was putting in, playing those long raking balls as well to get Salah and Mane on the run. And yeah, I think Liverpool are a bit of a blueprint in terms of United, how United should actually be playing. In terms of the fact that Wan-Bissaka is certainly nowhere near as dynamic as Alexander-Arnold in attack, but Shaw definitely is up there in terms of the physical tools that he've got, the cross that he put in for Ronaldo, and I do think we could play a bit like Liverpool, and certainly have an acceptance more in midfield that you need players that are gonna put in a shift. We just need better versions of that are going to be doing it with more intelligence and. Like certainly when it comes to things like making those yellow cards, a little bit more sense, a little bit more savvy. But yeah, moving this on because I can't be bothered with delaying this much longer. I think we're going to stick in. It's difficult because Harvey Elliott was making a good start early on in the season before he got his injury, and I do think there are players in Liverpool that have come in and certainly done good jobs, but I think the most consistent performer then for them since he's kind of come back into the team from injury from last season is Jordan Henderson, so I'm going to put him in. And I think we're going to round this out with Bruno. I think just based on the sheer volume of his numbers, he's had indifferent performances. He's one of those players that can infuriate you, where you call him for him to be subbed off. This is the weird thing about United, and yeah, I would say over 50% is the manager's fault in terms of tactics and things like that, and how the team's overall sort of defensive structure is and other things, but. I do think that some of the players that we have at United, they're certainly like moments players, which builds the kind of reputation of being moments FC. Bruno, he could just be doing nothing all game, and then he just comes out of nowhere with a piece of magic. Ronaldo, very much the same now in terms of that. And I think Rashford last season, because of the injuries, was certainly very inconsistent with his performances, but was still churning out ridiculous numbers, which is tantalising, really, from United's perspective, what Rashford could do this year, getting back to full fitness. Could he also be consistent on the pitch? And yeah, that would be unbelievable if we could get a bit more consistency in terms of our general performance, rather than just having to dig ourselves out of holes with those moments of quality. But yeah, just due to the consistency of numbers and things like that, I think it's fair to put Bruno into this team. And up front, this one's quite easy. Obviously, Mo Salah, I think he's playing the best football of his career right now. I certainly think he's obviously had an unbelievable goal scoring year. I think it was when he first joined Liverpool, hit over 30 goals. But I think he's had in different performances, but a bit more like in the Bruno vein, where he would still have the numbers, but certainly have less influence on the game. Whereas now, you saw the pass that he did against Watford. I just think he's playing electric football, and he's he's just so vital in terms of everything that Liverpool do. And I think obviously any team would be improved massively by having a Mo Salah in it. So yeah, and then on to the last one. Now, I could go Ronaldo, and I don't want to appear anti-Ronaldo because I've done a video where I thought he should be dropped, and I still think United would be better off with him on the bench, unless they figure out a better system to kind of put him in. I have no aversion to him starting if there's a system that works with him not really doing much pressing, not really being in the game a lot. But at the moment, there's certainly a disjoint between attack, midfield and defence because of how he's playing and how Solskjaer's setting out this team. Now, yeah, I could put him in, but I'm still not going to lean that way. I think the player that has been sort of the standout attacker for Man United thus far has been Mason Greenwood, and I think he deserves to be in there in a combined 11. Mane's obviously started to play well. Jota's played well in parts, and obviously Firmino got that hat-trick last game in the league against Watford. So can he build on that? Maybe keep Jota out of the team. We'll see. But yeah, I very much think that Greenwood deserves it in terms of he's the player that has certainly looked the most threatening for Man United game in and game out. And I think without his contributions as well, United's position would probably be worse off too. So yeah, that's my combined 11. Do you agree? So it's Alisson in goal. Joel Matip, Varane, Van Dijk and Alexander-Arnold make up the back four, whatever formation. Fabinho, Pogba, Henderson, Fernandes in midfield, and then Salah and Greenwood up top. And there we have it. But yeah, going on to the game itself, if we just have a quick discussion on that. This is United's last game. There's been talk, obviously, Scholes hammered us on BT Sport in terms of how we were set up, the disjoint in midfield, how they were so deep with the defence, and then the attack were very, very far in front and weren't pressing spectacularly well. So then the moment they got bypassed, there was just gaps everywhere. I've mentioned at length about how this is exacerbated when the fullbacks bomb on for Man United, and then the lack of a sort of a quality defensive midfielder means there's poor cover there as well. So there's sort of certainly two distinct ways of getting at Man United, which I think Liverpool may exploit. So yeah, if we look at this formation and how they set up and how all of the players, they were very much. If we look at the attack, so Greenwood starting position, he would be up here, and then you'd have Ronaldo, he'd be up here, and then let's just draw some lines because it makes more sense, and then like Rashford, he would be up here, and then Fernandes, and this is the annoying thing, is Fernandes would also be up here, and so you'd get a line if you just change colours to make this a little bit more obvious. You'd get something like a blanket like this going across, and so the moment a player, from let's say Atalanta's side here, the moment this player goes from these areas and then just drifts his way behind this defensive line, Fred and McTominay, their starting position, because they were trying to cover the defence, and I don't know why they were trying to cover the defence so much. I do believe it's one extreme to the other. They could have been further up. McTominay and Fred, the defensive line could have been much higher, and I feel as though Rashford and Fernandes and Greenwood, definitely to a much lesser extent Ronaldo, but certainly Rashford, Fernandes and Greenwood, and then Sancho and Lingard off the bench. All of those players, they are high pressing players. They like to get on the front foot, they like to win the ball back quickly. So their first thought is to go forward on the defensive. And this is what you got to understand, is some players, they have that eagerness. They're a bit like an energy bunny in the way they approach defending. And then Scott and McTominay and Fred, I also think they're high energy players that like to get on the press. And inexplicably in this game, because we shipped 4 goals quite easily against Leicester City, it was almost as if the defence was told to drop deep, so they were back here, and then the midfield was also told to drop deep, to kind of play. It's like sort of 2 banks of, well, I say 4. They would obviously a bank of 4 and then a bank of 2, and then so you'd have this huge gap in here, and it was absolutely inexplicable. You just have this absolutely huge gap there that anyone could pass into this zone here. Absolutely anyone could get a ball into there. You just got to get behind this front line here, and then you're in, and then you can really make things happen. And yeah, it was very much a bizarre system, and I do very much think that the midfield was told to do that by Solskjaer, and that needs addressing immediately. And I think it needs addressing by getting obviously United on the front foot. You need to press higher with players that all want to press. Then bloody press. Don't bother with the other way. They're not built that way, in my opinion. So yeah, United, they should get on the press against Liverpool, but in my opinion they probably won't. They'll learn from the second half against Atalanta, where Fernandes dropped deeper and sort of joined McTominay and Fred, and sort of made more of a free man in midfield. And by doing that, the one advantage you get from obviously dropping deeper is that you then leave spaces. If you drop deeper, then you're leaving spaces all in behind. So if everyone's starting position is back here, you then obviously get all this space in this area here. Who knows what I'm drawing here? But you get all this space around here that allows them Rashford and Greenwood and people with a bit of pace, a bit of a turn of pace, the wingers, to obviously then sort of get on the counter attack, which we saw against Manchester City last season certainly suited them. So yeah, we'll see how that's set up, but I do very much think it'll be the second option and more of a deeper get on the counter attack against Liverpool. And then yeah, looking at the way Liverpool sets up against Atletico, obviously I think they were favoured by the red card, but largely it's a terrific performance to get a win away from home against the big rival in their group. I just thought that the way they played, Firmino coming back into the team, I always think they're amplified with Firmino in the team. He's getting a bit older. He certainly presses less than Jota, and that's why Jota plays. And this is what we're talking about having the makeup of your team. Jota, obviously, he would get in there and really press high up, with a Salah, with a Mane, whereas Firmino attempts it and certainly doesn't have the legs of a Jota, but since it's just his intelligence and a sort of a better ability to just hold up the ball just a split second longer, to play those flicks around the corner to Mo Salah and Mane, I think Liverpool are a better unit with that there. So it'd be interesting to see if he can play again, because obviously he's played quite a lot of football, or whether they'll obviously look to give Jota a game now he's a bit fresher after the international break and he had that little niggle. So we'll see that. But then, in terms of obviously the way Liverpool are going to play, they're obviously going to get Alexander-Arnold Robertson in key areas, from round about here, because they're so terrific at just getting those balls going in like this. They're very, very good at that. I could draw this a little bit better now. I'm getting used to this toy. I mean, look at that. That is just a fantastic drawing. I very much think, someone from the midfield has to engage. It doesn't have to be the fullback in this position, because you don't want to obviously push them too high up. They get bypassed. There's gaps all in behind. So it's a key. It's going to be very, very important. Pogba or Bruno, certainly the players that are in advanced midfield positions, do engage them to kind of stop them. Otherwise, they could obviously really cause some damage. But that's just a quick sort of indicator of how it's going to go. I've predicted this a 1-1. I think United will get a goal on the counter-attack, and it'll be a lot of Liverpool, but I think we're going to play deeper, play 2 banks of 4. And then, when it comes to the second half, I think it'll be similar to last season's game, where just their sort of pressure will eventually break us down and they'll nick a goal. 1-1 is my prediction for this, which, since where United's been playing, not so bad. But that'll do it for today. So thanks a lot for listening. Please like, share and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.